Welcome back. Continuing the news, Jamaica is the latest country to issue a travel advisory discouraging people from traveling between the island and China. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton made the announcement at a press conference today. This, as the U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, says quarantine will not be enough to stop the spread of the coronavirus. TVJ Shamela Pullen reports.
On Tuesday, an emergency press briefing was called at the Ministry of Health in St. Andrew as the death toll from the new coronavirus labeled 2019 NCOV surpassed the 100 mark. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the ministry has taken the virus seriously and, as such, decided to be proactive.
We believe, based on the observations coming out of China, that the travel advisory is the right thing to do at this point in time, and as a consequence the government has agreed and has put this in place.
This travel advisory means that persons in China who are planning to travel to the island will be asked to remain in China.
Where persons in China who are planning to travel to the island will be advised or asked to remain in China. Where persons who are planning trips to China, whether Jamaicans or Chinese, we are advising them to postpone, at least for the time being, those travel arrangements that they would have made or are planning to make. For persons in transit to Jamaica, or quarantine protocols will be put in place, where persons will either be quarantined in facilities, specially designed facilities, or within their home environment, depending on the particular circumstances.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control said the coronavirus is increasing in severity and now could be contagious even before people exhibit symptoms, making apparently healthy people possible carriers. Experts advise that it could take up to 14 days to manifest. Dr. Tufton says with that, quarantine arrangements would reflect that consideration.
For families who are concerned about their relatives and friends in China for work or study, our conversation with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs indicates that plans are in place through that ministry to ensure that those persons, whether students or otherwise, our concerns are dealt with, or certainly are represented in that jurisdiction.
The health minister also said they will be doing further assessments of persons who have recently traveled to Jamaica from China.
For persons who have returned from China within the last month, the ministry has begun a process, and I believe we could use this mechanism to provide some support for that process, to track where we can those individuals, and we would ask those individuals, if they are not contacted, to make themselves available either to their private physician or the public health system.
Meanwhile, Dr. Tufton says he has been in dialogue with the Foreign Affairs Ministry, the Chinese Embassy and other agencies as he and his team continue to monitor the situation. Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
And a Jamaican student living in China is sharing his experience of what life is like since the outbreak of the coronavirus there.
Meet Romy Donaldson, the first-year medical student who attends Anhui Medical University in the Anhui province in China. He says there are at least 150 Jamaicans studying at the university, but since the outbreak of the deadly coronavirus, the school has pushed its start of the semester. He also said they've had to be making adjustments to their daily living.
For example, when it is that we do go outside, though we try to limit leaving our dorm room as much as possible, we have to wear our masks. That's a big preventative measure. Use hand sanitizer and so forth, and then ensure that you wash your hands as quickly and as often as possible. Here at school, on dorm, we have to check our temperatures. Every now and then the eyes will do that, and we also have to check in with our school counselors.
As it relates to travel, Mr. Donaldson says he has plans to return home, but is unsure when given the outbreak.
My parents have decided that they want me to be closer to home, so I'm actually going to be traveling to Jamaica later this week. They feel that I'm better protected if I'm there and not here. As it relates to traveling as well, I was doing some research earlier, and I found that even the airlines are stating that it's not a possibility that you might even be able to board the flight. It's something that you need to constantly monitor and track with the whole travel situation.
But he says even if that does not happen, he has no problem staying because that side of the province is not affected as other areas of China. He says life isn't as bad for them there just now.
Alright, so as it relates to food and so forth, in my area, that isn't much of an issue. You can still go to supermarkets. Most of them are still open. However, in other areas, some, like for example in Wuhan, some places are completely shut down. You can't really go in. You can't really go out, rather. You have to stay inside your room, and food is a big issue. So here in my area, we're not really that affected, but we still have to take precautionary and preventative measures.